Are you or your child interested in the performing arts? Let me introduce you to the Aikan Performing Arts Program. This program, founded by actor, director, writer, entrepreneur, and Philadelphia native Nakia Dillard, provides high-quality performing arts training to youth and adults in a safe, fun, friendly online environment. Since its inception in 2009, Aikan Performing Arts has reached over 1,000 students and workshop participants in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area alone. Aikan Performing Arts founder, Nakia Dillard, has worked alongside some of the most recognized and influential names in the industry, such as Bill Duke, Jamie Foxx, Anthony Mackie, Wendell Pierce, Kerry Washington, and other notable performers. He has appeared in The Wire, Black Lightning, Law Abiding Citizens, and The Wonder Years. For more information about the Aikan Performing Arts Program, please see the link in the show notes below. Thank you.
Malik's First Job Podcast, here to answer any questions that y'all ask. Financial literacy and resources. Parents and young people becoming bosses. CEOs, future leaders, entrepreneurs. Conferences and boardrooms getting sponsors secured. If you want generational wealth, Brooklyn's own Curwin Phillip with information to help. Malik's First Job Podcast. Malik's Podcast. Brooklyn's own Curwin Phillip. Curwin Phillip. Malik's First Job Podcast. Brooklyn's own Curwin Phillip. Generational wealth.
Greetings. How you doing? This is Curwin Phillip here with another episode of the Malik's First Job Podcast, where we speak about leadership, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy for parents and teens. Today, we have a good friend of mine joining us on the podcast, Miss Melissa Fanning. She's currently an instructor who follows in her father's footsteps, who was a Navy instructor, right? She graduated from Virginia Polytechnic University with a bachelor's in public administration, as well as her master's in criminal justice. She does youth workshops, and she's also an author and founder of the organization called Birthing Purposes. So join me in welcoming Melissa Fanning to the Malik's First Job Podcast. How you doing today?
Hello. Thank you for the invite.
Yes, ma'am. So tell us about Birthing Purposes. What is that?
So Birthing Purposes is an organization that I developed out of what I saw in my career and my love and interest for juveniles, for children, for little ones that look like me. So with Birthing Purposes, the desire is to uplift our young, to equip them, sort of like providing them platforms or opportunities like you're doing for job training, interviewing skills, things of that nature to expand their abilities to thrive.
Okay. Now, what age group do you target with that organization?
So I want to work with all youth.
Okay.
So I've worked with some of the young, say middle school and high school.
Right.
When I was working within the church,
I
worked with even the younger toddlers.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed.
Okay. So what was the motivation that got you involved in this type of work?
So my current day job is working within the criminal justice system.
Okay.
I've been at the organization I've been working at for 27 years.
Oh, wow.
I became a trainer of a risk assessment and then other topics. Working with the risk assessment and supervising people that look like us all the time, you want to intervene.
Okay.
You have to intervene. You have to stop that pipeline to invest for our youth. So that is my motivation. I want to be a generational curse breaker.
Okay. Okay.
And so I want to equip as many children as possible with the tools they need, like I said, to thrive and to navigate our current society.
Right.
And hopefully by doing that, I'm also assisting and supporting the values of their parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 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 So what are like some of the major challenges that you see with the I guess with some of the kids that you come across that they really need help in?
So currently I work with adults,
Right.
ages from 18 and up.
Okay.
Younger individuals that we serve, they don't know who they are.
Oh wow. Can you elaborate on that?
They don't know all the gifts and talents that they possess,
Okay.
how to harness it,
Right.
how to navigate some of the negativity, gang violence within the neighborhoods.
Right.
There's a lot of gang violence, and of course, in the media in our area, they don't use that terminology.
Okay.
And oftentimes, those in the gangs, they don't even know why is there a beef. But if we can focus on getting their attention on living longer than 18,
Hmm.
making
Yeah.
some of the dreams come true, writing them down, making them plain, getting the
Right.
tools to execute and possess that dream.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So they don't know who they are. They don't know what they possess. They don't have basic skills sometimes. And then you have those who are very skilled, but who have made bad judgments and need to know, what do I do next? How do I fix this?
Right.
And so
Right.
providing them the means to do so.
Right. So I guess like so you start work with them at age 18, right? Or like, you see them coming in at 18. So what are some things that parents can do, I guess, beforehand before they reach that point to kind of help them find themselves and, overcome those challenges that you see the ones that you work with, what they encounter on a regular basis?
So it's really important. Some of the risk factors for the adults, and it does trickle down and it is seen with the younger generations, is quality time with their family is needed.
Okay.
Not necessarily quantity,
Hmm.
quality.
Okay.
When you're with your child or youth or children you have, be intentional about what you're doing together.
Okay.
If you're watching a movie together, what type of movie is it? Can you have a real life conversation about the movie? Make it a fun but teaching moment.
Right.
So it's intentional. Children want to know that their parents care. They may not necessarily want to be all in their business, right?
Right. Right.
But parents need to be parents, not friends,
Exactly.
and be supportive and be corrective appropriately.
Right.
So also, parents need to be very concerned and in tune with who are they spending time with? Their peers.
Right.
I know growing up, my mom used to say, you pay attention more to your friends than you do me,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So if
Mhm.
that's the case, which it seems to still be, right?
Right.
You can make sure your children are spending quality time with people who want to do things. That it's more important not to get a rep out in the street,
Hmm.
but it's okay to do your studies or to learn a trade and make things happen with that gift and that talent.
Right.
And what's another? I would say, I think when I see a lot of the shootings that happen throughout the country,
Hmm.
it's individuals who don't have friends,
Okay.
individuals who parents aren't necessarily have the best relationship in communication, right, with your child. And so you don't know how they're thinking.
Okay.
And processing. So it's very important to understand how your child thinks, why your child thinks. Is it something that's pro-social within the norm, or is it something that is antisocial? They don't believe in following rules and regulations. They don't understand the protectiveness of some of them. Of course, our laws are not perfect.
Right.
But being a person of color, realistically, what can I do?
Right.
Teaching them that they do have a voice and how to be their own advocate appropriately, intelligently.
Right. Right.
So those are some of the things. My father equipped me with the love of learning and reading.
Okay.
He loved it. So what we would do together is we would go to the library. He might go to his section of interest. I would go to mine. We would come together. We would discuss what we read and we would share. So I was able to build a relationship with my father, one of respect. I could see him as a person, not just a parent telling me what to do, but a person who had interest and would share. And I think because I felt my father was very important to me, and because he tried to protect me and to inform me and to educate me, and prepare me for the future.
Right. Right.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I guess when you all had those, when you all went to the library and went off to your different sections, like what kind of books did you gravitate towards, or what did your father go towards? Were there like particular genres or topics?
So early on, I was into poetry, so I would read poetry. I would read autobiographies of different people. I just wanted to learn.
Okay.
To learn about different people, because my father was in the Navy. Sometimes I would read about the countries that he would talk about because he traveled. Okay. Most of the time we traveled as a family, but every once in a while he would need to go on different, he would have different tour duties, not necessarily too far, but we did travel with him most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, and my father was historian, so anything history.
Okay. 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 Yeah. So I know that, your interactions and I guess your relationship with your father, I guess, helped to guide you into your own writing, right? Can you speak about your books as well that you authored?
So the first book I authored, so I've been writing all my life.
Okay.
In some shape or form. But when I lost my father, I was like, I had started the book, but I hadn't finished the book.
Okay.
And I kind of got, going through grief. And I had a friend basically bully me into finishing the book.
Okay.
I'm very grateful for it. So my children's book, Sea Lessons with Daddy.
Okay.
First book. And it talks about, because my father made such an impression on me, it talks about the lessons that I learned through the letters he wrote me while he was away at sea.
Wow.
So these are about family values.
Okay.
So these are life skills for a lifetime. And it's important that we do it when we're young, get it in our system while we're young. We may deviate from it temporarily, right? But it's in us to come back to. So this book is dedicated to him and several of the men in my life who have been consistent in encouraging me to grow, to thrive, to soar. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And in addition to that, when people purchase the book, I email them an activity book. So the activity book, I love that just as much as the book.
Okay.
Very interactive to encourage people, it's for teachers and parents, but also for the children to participate in activities, to learn, to encourage them to embrace the core values that are actually in the book. So it mentions doing things in action.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So what are like some of the lessons, if you don't mind sharing, maybe like 1 or 2 lessons that are found within the book?
Okay, so all right. I'm going to do the first lesson.
Okay.
So the first lesson that he wrote to me was God made everything. He made the heavens, he made the earth, and everything in between. And with him, I could do no wrong and accomplish anything. So the foundation for me, we're a spiritual family, not a perfect family.
Right.
It's all about relationships, right?
Yes.
That was the foundation that my father gave me as far as spiritually.
Okay.
Another foundation is the 8th lesson he wrote to me was money answers many things. It can buy clothes and can buy food and castles fit for kings. It can supply the needs of others with the things it brings. So with this lesson, it taught us we need to be financially literate.
Right.
Right. I was a little slow with that, but my mom had it down pat. It's filtering down. Even
Right.
as old as I am, I'm still learning lessons and putting them in practice. It also encouraged us to be givers.
Right.
So we recycle, we donate time, we donate items of clothing, food, things like that. That's what it taught us to do as well.
Yeah, I think that that's one aspect of like financial literacy people don't really speak about, the law of reciprocity, right? What goes around comes around. Do unto others as you want done unto you. Oftentimes when you give, that's when you receive the blessing. People don't realize that. Some folks feel, okay, when I get my resources, I need to hold on to them and not share them and just hoard them, not realizing no, you have to. Not give away everything, but kind of, do what you can to help others, right?
Yes.
And it's not just, financial as well, right? It's
Right.
your different skills, talents, whatever that you have,
Right.
be willing to share it, right? You never know who you may impact.
Exactly. And
Right.
so, in my job, it's important for me to be curious about the individual. Okay, they may be there for a criminal offense because I'm in the criminal justice, but they're still individuals. They're still people. They're still
Right.
important. I want them to know that they are seen, that they are valued, that perhaps they made a wrong decision, but I make wrong decisions too. So I'm not here to judge you, right?
Right.
I'm here to help you overcome your current status. I'm here to help you understand, even in my job, what your purpose is. So I don't see you again in this situation. I want to see you, if you're a rapper, I want to see you out there rapping, but I also want you to know how to work your money so somebody doesn't take you in a contract, right? I want you to be able to, regardless, you might have a temper. I want you to know how to manage that temper and communicate your dislike in a way that the person will be like respectful back towards you because you explained it to them in such a way, intelligently, with your temper intact, such that there's no additional trouble. There's only respect out of that conversation and that discord. We need to teach our children how to debate. That's a lost art. I don't need you to always agree with me, but if you are going to disagree intelligently, respectfully,
Right.
calmly, there's nothing wrong with having passion.
Right.
Communicate with me, right?
Yeah, I think with the age that we're in right now and what the media portrays, right? Oftentimes, when kids watch television or they see different programming that's on social media, whatever, whenever there's conflict, people are kind of yelling at each other, throwing things. You think about the Love and Hip Hop, Real Housewives of Atlanta, in these different programs, it's always, people don't communicate. They're talking at each other and not really trying to engage in a meaningful conversation.
Right.
And then also on the flip side, the fact that a lot of our young people are, with social media, there's less human interaction.
Yes.
Right. So they're not getting, that interpersonal
They're not
contact. Right.
That,
so it's a skill that's being lost. And again, what they see is that when you get in front of somebody or you're engaging and you have a conflict, then it's always an argument. And it does not have to be an aggressive argument. You can have a civil argument where you can, just make your points and then come to a common ground. Right. But oftentimes when we see, again, through the media, it's not always that way.
Right. So it was important for me to write this book because partially I wanted society, I wanted our community, I wanted our world to understand that Black families have fathers in the home that connect with their children. Black families or families of color, because we're all shades, beautiful array. Shades. We have morals, we have values. We have a code.
Yes.
Right? Just like everyone else, we are no less because of the color of our skin. We're not animals. We're not fugitives. We're not to be hunted and preyed upon.
Exactly.
For fashion. We founded pretty much everything.
Right.
From the beginning. And so there's a certain respect and a certain call to remember who we are.
Right.
And so part of the mission of this book was to convey families of color. We have values. We have parents that show up. We're not perfect people, but we have a good foundation.
Exactly.
That was one of the motivations for the book as well.
Right. And I think that that's a very important point because, again, from what the media or society would try to do, the narrative they try to teach is that, the Black family is broken, the father's not there, the mother's out there acting crazy or whatever, not realizing that really the majority of households, right, are, that nuclear family, right, where the everybody's engaging with one another. The parents are there, the father's there, the mother's there, and the children, and that whole dynamic actually exists. Right, and it's important for us to let the world see that is real. Right. Peace. Check this out. My company, Kufu Enterprises LLC, has partnered with Atlantic Union Bank and Bonsai to offer free online financial literacy modules for middle and high school students. You can access these courses at maliksfirstjob.com under the Education tab. These courses cover a wide range of topics that will help our children increase their knowledge about money. So please, visit maliksfirstjob.com and register your child for these free online courses. Peace. Malik's First Job, Financial Principles for Teens, is an excellent resource to get your children started on understanding the basics of financial literacy. This book, which is set in Brownsville, Brooklyn, about a young man who gets his first job and then shortly thereafter sits down with his dad to learn how to manage his money. There are several topics that are covered within this work, such as paying yourself first, disciplining your spending, knowing the difference between an asset and a liability, creating multiple sources of income, as well as the importance of being charitable. So again, if you want to get your children started on understanding finance and becoming responsible adults, we highly recommend that you purchase the book, Malik's First Job, Financial Principles for Teens. So please visit maliksfirstjob.com to get more information. Peace.
And like I said, we're not perfect people.
Right.
But the narrative shouldn't be that every home is broke. No.
Right, right. And I know you're old enough to remember, remember when the Cosby Show came out when we were coming up, and people say, "Well, that's not real," right? It's not real to have both parents being successful, and having good jobs and loving each other, and the kids are out, doing what they're supposed to be doing and not out acting crazy.
Right.
Of course, we could see even within the Cosby Show, everybody wasn't perfect,
Right.
right? People had, each character had their, their flaws, but at the same time, there was still a core family dynamic that existed, right? That was real, but people said, well, it wasn't real. So
it was real. It's still real.
yes,
And I won't say that we don't have, our community doesn't have work to do. Yes, we have a lot of work to do.
of course,
We have a lot of work to do because for the most part, we under fire all the time. Right?
right.
So it's a lot to deal with. And so I want to give kids the opportunity to see that this is possible, right?
Right.
These are some values that will help you along the way, because sometimes they expect that they're not going to be kind. Yes, we believe in being kind.
Yep.
Don't take our assertiveness the wrong way. We do also have to speak up.
Exactly.
And so I did a coloring book. So the C Lessons with Daddy, that is for second, third graders.
Okay.
The coloring book would be for kindergarten, first grade. And it's extension of the book because I have two nephews and they're different in age, and I needed each one of them to have an activity to do.
Okay.
And still learn the values within each lesson.
Right.
So that's been great. That's been
Beautiful. So, and you said this is your first book, I guess your first children's book?
Yes, my first published children's book. Now, I wrote a children's book in the 4th grade and won an award for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but this is my first published book.
So what happened with the one from 4th grade? Where's that book at now?
It's in a trunk.
Trunk? Any plans of putting that out?
No.
No. Okay.
No. That was real raw. No.
Okay.
But it encouraged me to keep going. That, I think a lot of parents struggle with and adults. What's my purpose?
Right.
Right. And so what has helped me understand people's purposes? What did you like to do when you were young? What did you really like to do and have fun and not stress, and it came easy to you?
Right.
That's one of your talents. Now, some of us have many talents. Some of us may only have one. Whatever that one is, or whatever they are, you develop all of them. In this society now, you don't have to be like me, locked into one career for 27 years.
True.
The children today are so intelligent. They come out ready to do something. And a lot of somethings, right?
Right.
They have so many talents. They're like little computers.
Yeah.
You don't have to just do one thing.
Right. And I like how, I guess what you said as far as, finding what you like to do when you were younger and kind of honing in on that. Because what happens oftentimes is that a child may have a certain passion or a certain interest, and then adults come in and tear it up, right? Say, okay, well, how do you plan on making a living doing that? Or, you need to do something that's more realistic. And it kind of kills that child's dream and not give them a chance to even try to develop that particular skill or that particular talent. So
that's awesome. Excuse me for a second I'm older than you, I'm pretty sure. So I want to So I was at a conference this weekend, and one of the speakers, I don't know if I should be dropping names, so I won't. But he made a point to say he had gone to prison, and it was in prison when someone told him, "You're intelligent." And all this time, you get to prison at what, 19 years old to find out you're intelligent when you've been struggling in school. Not getting acclimates, praise for things you do right, only focusing on the things you do wrong.
Right.
Made a good point. Why are we focusing so much on the things you did wrong in school? If I'm not good in math, why are you killing me trying to make me learn calculus? Am I going to use it? Chances are I am not going to be a mathematician or a scientist. I'm over here with language or with social studies excelling, but you mad at me because I can't do math. Of course, I need to know how to add, subtract, and multiply. Okay, I got the basics down.
Right.
But I'm going to make my world about literature or writing, because that's where I feel at home. That's where I get excited about. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think oftentimes we forget we need to focus on those things that are positive, the strengths of the children that we see and interact with.
Exactly.
Just because daddy was a lawyer doesn't mean I'm going to be a lawyer. My father was in the Navy. He told me, and I wanted to be, I was so impressed with my dad. I wanted to do the same thing. My dad was in the Navy, right?
Right.
And he's like, no, the Navy's not. And I was like, why not? Right? He's like, you asked too many questions. That's not going to work well. I was like, okay.
Right.
So I focused on what else do I like to do?
Right.
You know, and that's what, when individuals come into my office and I work with them, whether they're staff or whether they're individuals we're serving, I try to hone in on what are you good at? We're going to blow that up and make it like the best thing since sliced bread. I'm every opportunity that I can give you praise in the right direction about what you're doing well. We're not going to have a whole lot of conversation about what you're not doing well, in the sense that I have to tell you what the consequences are and how you change it. But I'm not going to keep beating you up for that, because at the end of the day, it's your choice.
Exactly.
Whether you want to do something positive to change the trajectory of the previous decisions you've made, or whether you want to excel and be something different than what the world says. Oh, labeled, you're not going to be any good. That's not true. And so having the ability to read is extremely important, because you need to know how to read in order to study whatever it is you want to do.
True.
And so encouraging children to read books and the possibility and explore is extremely important to me. My next book, The Mystery of the Moroccan Chameleon, talks about traveling and meeting different people from different backgrounds and having and seeing different things. Because do we travel a lot? I want children to get excited about the possibility of traveling, meeting new people, having new experiences, doing something different out of the norm. What does that look like? What can happen?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very important, because, a person's world is just, what they expose themselves to. Right. I remember growing up, there were certain people who never left. Some people never left the block, and never left the neighborhood. People who never left Brooklyn, like even just to go to Manhattan was like a big thing, and that was just a couple train stops away. But people never, they didn't want to venture out into what they felt they didn't know, or what wasn't comfortable with. And of course, like I said, being able to travel, outside your state, even outside the country, is very important, because again, culture exposing yourself to different cultures and seeing that the world is so much bigger than, what, you may normally see on a regular basis. If you look at a globe and to point to where, your particular city is, and then compare that to the rest of the planet, it's like, wow, there's so much more to see that's out there.
There's so much more. And there's so many people
Yes.
that you can connect to that maybe like the same things you like, right?
Exactly.
Or something different. So not being afraid to develop relationships with people who don't necessarily look like you or use a different language,
Right.
eat different foods. I mean,
Yeah.
I want children to take the limits off,
Exactly.
go beyond what the family has gone beyond. Live on purpose, enjoy life. But for me, it all started with reading.
Yeah.
It all started with reading. So with Birthing Purposes, it's connecting, and my focus at my job is with everybody, males and females. But Birthing Purposes focuses on working with young girls.
Okay.
And giving them the skills and equipping them with the skills to excel.
Right.
So we have conversations about health and beauty and communication and relationships. What does a healthy relationship look like? And so I'm working on a girls' curriculum, hoping to have that done by the spring.
Okay.
Working on it for a long time, but I'm being very intentional. So it's something that's extremely important to me based on my experience at work. You hear people come in, and like I said, they don't know who they are. They don't know what they possess.
Yeah.
And they've sometimes experienced a level of trauma that they have to deal with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So giving them the tools to thrive.
Okay, great. So the book that you mentioned, the next book you're working on, what's the title again?
The Mystery of the Moroccan Chameleon.
The Mystery of the Moroccan Chameleon. When is that book coming out?
So it's in the illustrator's hands now.
Okay.
So no later than April. I was hoping it would be ready February.
Okay.
But just trying to nail down the beauty of Morocco, which was a beautiful country.
Okay.
Country that my father took us to when I was young.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, so I guess, how has it been, being a first-time author? Or what has that experience been like for you?
Woo! I would say it is important to follow the instructions of your mentors.
Okay.
To get out of your way, follow the instructions of your mentor.
Okay.
I am still working on that, as you know.
Right.
Yeah, social media. Yeah, that's my the area I need to work on.
Okay.
Social media.
Yeah.
It's been challenging, but I think if you extend yourself to listen to constructive feedback, put in the time, I think it works better for you.
Right. Yeah, I think anything works as long as you're willing to put the time in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and you have to be yourself. You have to be your authentic. You can't show up as somebody else. I can't show up as you. I can't show up as anybody but me. So
exactly.
The time to find out what that looks like so you're comfortable. Because I think I've been trying to do what works for other people, not necessarily what works for me. So I struggle. It's not natural. And some of it's not going to be natural, but necessary. And to accept that.
Right.
Right. In order to keep moving forward.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think making sure that you have mentors accessible, not being in your feelings, understanding that they've gone before you, they've had these experiences. Nobody's out to get anybody, but to help each other grow and move forward. That's what it's about.
Right.
So I
Right.
think it's important to have the mentor, have the conversation, and be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
try
yes.
different things. You might mess up. Get back up. Keep moving
Exactly.
forward.
Exactly.
I
That's
call
good.
myself in moments like this failing forward.
Oh, that's definitely that's how you perfect your craft, is by failing and figuring out, how to make those corrections and do what's needed
Right.
in the next step. Right.
But I do wish I had gone the route of the wisdom and just did it right the first time. Just follow the instructions the first time. I didn't have to fail, as I was reminded earlier this afternoon. I didn't have to fail if I just followed the instructions.
Maybe that's why your dad said you couldn't be in the Navy.
Asking questions, bucking the
Mm-hmm.
system. I mean, I think there's some healthy resistance.
Yeah, of course.
You have to know when, though.
Yeah.
You have to know when.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes,
So-
failures are those valuable lessons.
Great. So for people that want to, follow you online and get their hands on your books, where can they find you?
So the best place to get my book is at my website, birthingpurposes.com.
Okay.
And then as far as following me, I'm on Facebook, Melissa Mimi Fanning, and that is the same for Instagram.
Okay.
Those are the best ways to reach out to me. There's additional contact information on my website.
Okay.
So those are a couple of ways.
Exactly. All right. So before we wrap up today, are there any closing thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
Be encouraged. Follow your dreams. Get a mentor.
Yes.
Get a
Yes.
mentor. Very important.
Okay.
Find out what you really enjoy doing so you can live your best life.
Yes, ma'am. And I think those are very key points of wisdom to share with the audience. All right. So thanks again, for joining us today and sharing, your experience and information about your book and the work that you do.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Thank
Fine.
you.
All right, great. So again, thank you all for joining us today on another episode of Malik's First Job Podcast, and we'll see you all next week. Peace.
Generational wealth.